Ladies and gentlemen, today I invite you to reflect on a subject that often remains shrouded in silence: the unloved women among us. These are the mothers, daughters, sisters, and friends whose hearts have been neglected, whose worth has been overlooked, and whose voices have been silenced. Their experiences are a reminder of the urgent need to redefine how we perceive, value, and honor women in every sphere of life. Every woman carries within her a treasure of potential, purpose, and power. Yet when love is withheld, when respect is absent, and when acknowledgement is denied, that treasure often lies dormant, buried beneath the weight of rejection and disregard. An unloved woman is not a woman without value. She is a woman who has been denied the environment in which her value can shine. When a woman is unloved, her creativity diminishes, her voice grows faint, and her vision becomes clouded. Love is not just an emotion, it is an atmosphere where the soul thrives. Love provides the nourishment that empowers a woman to dream boldly, to act courageously, and to nurture those around her with strength and compassion. Yet, in our societies, we often see women judged not by their intrinsic worth, but by superficial standards, by their appearance, their marital status, or their conformity to roles others have assigned them. In doing so, we strip them of the dignity they deserve as individuals created with purpose and potential. We must challenge these misconceptions, for they perpetuate a cycle of neglect and disempowerment. An unloved woman often becomes a reflection of the brokenness she has endured. She may struggle to believe in her own worth, or to see herself as anything more than the labels others have placed upon her. But let us never forget that her worth is not determined by her circumstances. It is inherent. It is unchanging. And it is time for us to be the catalyst that awaken her to this truth. To the women who have felt unloved, let me say this: you are not forgotten. You are not invisible. Your value is not dependent on the recognition of others, for you are a masterpiece designed with intention. Within you lies the power to overcome the lies that have been spoken over your life. You are worthy of love, respect, and honor simply because you exist. And to those of us who see these women, let us take responsibility. Let us speak words of affirmation, not criticism. Let us create spaces where their gifts can flourish. Let us be the hands that lift them, the voices that defend them, and the hearts that love them unconditionally. The unloved woman is not a lost cause. She is a sleeping giant. And when she is awakened to her worth, when she is empowered to rise, she becomes a force that can transform families, communities, and nations. The call is urgent, and the responsibility is ours. Let us act with love. Let us journey deeper into the heart of this matter. The unloved woman is not merely a symbol of neglect. She is a mirror reflecting the cracks in our society. Her pain speaks volumes about the values we hold, the priorities we set, and the love we fail to extend. A woman who feels unloved is a reminder that something fundamental is missing, not in her, but in the systems, relationships, and communities around her. When a woman is neglected emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, we fail to recognize her for what she truly is: a vessel of life, a bearer of dreams, a nurturer of purpose. This neglect begins with the subtle and insidious ways we diminish her. We overlook her voice in conversations. We dismiss her contributions as insignificant. We reduce her identity to roles that serve others, stripping her of individuality. This neglect can start early, from the way girls are raised in homes where their worth is attached to how well they please others. Many grow up internalizing the idea that their value is tied to what they do rather than who they are. This false narrative follows them into adulthood, where they may seek validation through achievements, relationships, or appearances, only to find themselves on a treadmill of unmet expectations. Imagine the impact of living under the weight of feeling unloved, not just for a moment, but for years, even decades. The human heart was never designed to endure that kind of void. Love is essential to a woman's emotional and spiritual growth, just as air is to her lungs. Without it, she becomes starved of affirmation, compassion, and purpose. But let us be clear, this is not a call to pity. The unloved woman does not need our pity, she needs our action. She needs to be seen, heard and valued in ways that restore her faith in humanity and in herself. True love is not passive. It requires us to step into uncomfortable places, confront uncomfortable truths, and work tirelessly to make a difference. In many cultures, we see how systemic inequality perpetuates the cycle of unloved women. Women are denied education, forced into marriages, silenced in public discourse, and treated as second-class citizens. These are not isolated incidents. They are patterns that rob women of their dignity and their futures. It is not enough to merely acknowledge these injustices. We must dismantle the structures that allow them to thrive. Even in societies where progress has been made, the narrative of the unloved woman persists. She may hold a degree, have a successful career, or appear to have it all together on the surface, but behind closed doors, she battles the quiet ache of loneliness, the burden of unspoken words, and the longing for authentic connection. These women are all around us. They are in our workplaces, our communities, and even our homes. What does it take to change this? It takes intentionality. It takes the courage to love without conditions, to affirm without agendas, and to listen without judgment. Love is not a fleeting feeling. It is a choice, a commitment, and an action. To love a woman who feels unloved is to remind her that she is not forgotten, that her story matters, and that her existence is a gift to this world. We must also examine the role of men in this narrative. Too often, men are taught that showing vulnerability or expressing love is a sign of weakness. This mindset not only damages men, but also deprives women of the love and support they deserve. A man who learns to honor and value women does not lose his strength, he multiplies it. For when men and women come together in mutual respect and love, they build a foundation that can withstand the challenges of life. Let us also not overlook the role of other women in this story. Women can be powerful allies to one another, but they can also be sources of competition, jealousy, and judgment. The unloved woman often finds herself isolated not just by men, but by other women who fail to uplift and support her. Sisters, let us choose collaboration over competition. Let us celebrate each other's successes and be a source of encouragement in times of struggle. The power of love is transformative. It has the ability to heal wounds that seem beyond repair, to restore dignity where it has been stripped away, and to ignite a spark of hope in the darkest of places. When a woman who has felt unloved begins to experience true love, whether through the kindness of a friend, the support of a community, or the acceptance of herself, she begins to reclaim her identity. She stands taller, speaks louder, and dreams bigger. This transformation does not just benefit her, it benefits everyone around her. A woman who knows she is loved becomes a force of nature. She invests in her family, inspires her community, and contributes to society in ways that ripple far beyond her immediate circle. She becomes a living testament to the power of love to bring life where there was once despair. But love is not an abstract concept. It is lived out through tangible actions. It is in the way we treat the women in our lives every single day. It is in the words we speak, the respect we show, and the time we invest. It is in the systems we create that honor their contributions, protect their rights, and promote their well-being. We must ask ourselves, how are we contributing to the narrative of the unloved woman? Are we complicit in the way society devalues her? Are we silent when we should speak up? Are we withholding love, whether out of ignorance, fear, or indifference? These are hard questions, but they are necessary ones. For it is only when we confront our own shortcomings that we can begin to create change. To the women who have felt unloved, I want you to know that your story is not over. The chapters of rejection and neglect do not define you. You have the power to write a new narrative, one of healing, self-discovery, and purpose. The love you may not have received from others, you can find within yourself. And as you learn to love yourself, you will find that you attract the kind of love that uplifts and empowers. Let us be the ones who ensure that no woman ever has to question her worth. Let us be the voices that speak life, the hands that lift up, and the hearts that love unconditionally. Together we can break the cycle of neglect and build a world where every woman is celebrated for who she is, not just for what she does. And in doing so, we do more than honor women, we honor humanity itself. For when we love the unloved, we fulfill the highest calling of all, to see the inherent value in every soul and to cherish it as if it were our own. When we look at the landscape of our world, it becomes clear that the issue of unloved women is not just a matter of individual relationships, but a collective crisis. This crisis has been ongoing for centuries, driven by deeply entrenched cultural norms, societal expectations, and historical inequalities. From the earliest days of civilization, women have been subjugated, objectified, and placed in positions of subordination. The tragedy is that this has created a deep sense of invisibility for so many women, a feeling that their existence and their experiences matter little to the world around them. The unloved woman is a victim of this systemic devaluation. She may live her life with a quiet despair, haunted by the belief that she is unworthy of love, care, and respect. Her inner world, rich with potential, is clouded by the lack of validation and affirmation she desperately needs. It's important to understand that when love is withheld from a woman, it's not just her emotions that suffer, it is her entire being. The absence of love chips away at her sense of self-worth, her capacity for joy, and her ability to fully embrace the life she is meant to lead. She becomes entangled in an emotional prison where the bars are made of rejection and neglect. But the truth is that the unloved woman is not a broken woman. She is a woman whose circumstances have caused her to forget her own strength. Too often, society places the blame on the woman, suggesting that something is inherently wrong with her because she hasn't found love or hasn't been recognized for her contributions. This perspective is not only unfair, but it is also dangerous because it perpetuates the myth that a woman's value is defined by external factors, how she looks, who she is with, or how much she can provide. It obscures the truth that a woman's worth is intrinsic, defined by her very existence, and it is not contingent on validation from others. The unloved woman is a symbol of what happens when the world fails to see women for who they truly are. She is the result of a society that often values women based on their utility rather than their humanity. In many cultures, women are seen as caretakers, nurturers, or objects of desire, roles that, while important, can be limiting when they become the sole definition of a woman's existence. The roles women play are important, yes, but they should not be the defining factor of who they are. Women are individuals with dreams, intellect, creativity, and untapped potential. And yet all too often, their value is tied to what they do for others rather than who they are. This devaluation becomes even more pronounced when we examine the experiences of marginalized women. Women of color, women from low-income backgrounds, and women with disabilities often face an even harsher form of neglect and invisibility. They are doubly oppressed both as women and as members of a disenfranchised group. Their experiences are further exacerbated by the intersecting barriers they face, leaving them in positions where their voices are even more easily silenced, their contributions dismissed, and their needs ignored. In such environments, it becomes even more difficult for them to recognize their own worth, let alone have that worth acknowledged by the world around them. These women face layers of rejection that compound over time, creating a situation where they often feel not just unloved, but entirely unworthy of love. The harsh realities of their lives, poverty, racism, discrimination, and abuse further the narrative that they are expendable. Yet, no matter the circumstances, the truth remains that no woman, regardless of race, class, or background, is undeserving of love. The dehumanization they face is not a reflection of their true value, but a reflection of a society that has failed to properly value them. In addition to these external factors, there is the internal struggle that so many women face. When a woman feels unloved, she often internalizes that feeling, questioning her own worth, doubting her abilities, and perhaps even believing that she is undeserving of any form of affection or recognition. This self-doubt can be crippling, affecting every aspect of her life, from her relationships to her career, her health to her dreams. It creates a vicious cycle. She feels unloved, so she withdraws, and in her withdrawal, she may inadvertently push others away, further reinforcing the belief that she is undeserving of love. But dear friends, let me say this: the moment a woman is made to believe that she is unworthy of love, society has failed her. The unloved woman's internal battle is not a reflection of her inability to love herself, but rather a consequence of a world that has not taught her to see her own worth. The challenge before us as individuals, communities, and societies is to break this cycle, to create an environment where women are not only seen but deeply valued. What we must recognize is that love cannot exist in a vacuum. It cannot be expected to flourish in an environment of neglect, disrespect, and inequality. Love, true love, is cultivated in environments where individuals are allowed to grow, to thrive, and to be fully seen and heard. For the unloved woman, love is not just a feeling, it is the environment in which she feels safe, appreciated, and supported. It is the recognition of her humanity and the understanding that she deserves respect, care, and kindness simply because she exists. For the unloved woman, it is often not a lack of love that she craves, but a lack of authentic connection. She may have received affection, attention, and even admiration in the past, but these gestures often felt empty because they were not grounded in genuine understanding or respect. The type of love she longs for is the kind that affirms her worth, the kind that sees her not for what she can provide, but for who she is. It is a love that is free from manipulation, judgment, or expectation, and it requires that she be seen not through the lens of others' desires, but through her own humanity. The tragic reality is that in many cases, women are made to feel that their worth is tied to their relationships with men, whether as mothers, wives, daughters, or lovers. Women are often taught that their primary value comes from their ability to nurture, care for, and serve others, especially men. When they fail to live up to these expectations, they are made to feel that something is inherently wrong with them. This narrative is damaging and limiting, for it ignores the complex, multifaceted nature of who a woman is and the depth of her capabilities. It reduces her to a set of functions or roles, while her true essence remains unseen. Yet, in reality, love is not confined to romantic relationships or familial ties. It exists in friendship, in mentorship, in community, and in self-love. It is the kind of love that helps a woman see herself as more than what others demand of her. It is the kind of love that reminds her that her worth is not tied to external validation, but to the inherent value that she carries within herself. So what do we need to do to change the narrative of the unloved woman? We must start by creating a culture of love and respect for women in all spaces. We must actively seek out the voices of those who have been silenced and ignored. We must create opportunities for women to thrive, to lead, and to be seen for their contributions, not just as caregivers or supporters, but as leaders, innovators, and change makers in their own right. As we build this new narrative, we must encourage women to love themselves, to reclaim their worth, and to realize that they do not need the approval of others to validate their existence. We must remind them that their value is not determined by how much they give to others or how much they meet the expectations set upon them, but by the fact that they are created with purpose, dignity, and greatness. The unloved woman is not lost. She is simply waiting to be awakened to her own worth. And the responsibility lies with all of us to ensure that she is seen, heard, and loved, not just in words, but in action. It is only when we, as individuals and as a society, start treating women with the respect and dignity they deserve, that we will begin to dismantle the systems that perpetuate this cycle of neglect. Let us stand together then in love, in respect, and in solidarity with every woman who has ever felt unloved. Let us be the ones who remind her that she is worthy, that she is valuable, and that she is deserving of all the love this world has to offer. For when one woman is loved, she has the power to change the world around her, and in doing so, she can help heal the collective heart of humanity. As we continue to explore the painful reality of unloved women, it is crucial to acknowledge that the root of this issue lies not solely in the actions of others, but in the systems that are built to oppress and undermine the feminine spirit. These systems are deeply ingrained in societal structures, religious teachings, cultural norms, and even in the unconscious biases that permeate our everyday lives. From early childhood, girls are conditioned to see their value as something external, dependent on how they look, what they do, and who they can attract. This begins the lifelong process of eroding a woman's sense of self-worth. It is a quiet but powerful force, one that shapes how women perceive their place in the world, how they relate to others, and how they define their own success. We have to confront these systems and break down the walls they create. A woman who does not see herself as valuable will never be able to reach her full potential. We as a collective society have a responsibility to provide an environment where every woman, regardless of her circumstances, can recognize and cultivate her inherent worth. But the truth is, that work has only just begun. And it requires a deep shift in how we understand and value women. This shift cannot be superficial or temporary. It must be a fundamental change in how women are seen, respected, and loved. Part of this shift must involve redefining what love means. We need to move beyond the romanticized notion of love that is often presented in movies and media, where love is portrayed as an idealized fantasy, free from conflict and full of effortless happiness. True love is not an illusion, it is a force that requires sacrifice, patience, and understanding. It means showing up for someone when they are at their lowest, affirming them even when they do not believe in themselves, and providing the space for them to grow, heal, and rediscover their worth. When women feel unloved, they are often isolated in their struggles, convinced that they are alone, undeserving of support. Yet love has the power to dissolve isolation. It is the antidote to loneliness and the remedy for self-doubt. We also need to recognize that the pain of being unloved is often not just a matter of personal relationships, but is linked to societal treatment. Women who have been victims of violence, exploitation, and abuse know all too well the profound wounds left by the absence of love. These women often carry scars that run deep, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. The trauma they experience becomes a constant reminder of their invisibility and unworthiness in a world that has failed to protect them. They become lost in the void between what society says they should be and the harsh reality of what they are forced to endure. For these women, love is more than a desire, it is a need for survival, a way to heal, and a way to reclaim their lives. But we must also confront the painful truth that women themselves can sometimes perpetuate the cycle of unloved women. Women can become perpetrators of emotional neglect toward other women, often because they too have been conditioned to view themselves through the same narrow lens of worth. When women fail to see one another as allies and supporters, when they compete with each other for validation or approval, they further isolate themselves from the love and strength that can be found in community. This toxic environment does not serve anyone, and it only perpetuates the cycle of internalized oppression that leaves so many women feeling unloved and unimportant. We must commit to changing this dynamic, not just by speaking about it, but by modeling the kind of love and support that women need to flourish. It is important to note that the damage caused by being unloved is not just limited to an individual's sense of self. It extends to the collective as well. A society where women are unloved, overlooked, or undervalued is a society that will never reach its full potential. Women are integral to every aspect of life, family, work, community, politics, and without their full participation and support, we will continue to miss out on the contributions, creativity, and wisdom they have to offer. When women are made to feel irrelevant, society as a whole suffers. The creative energy, the nurturing wisdom, the leadership that women bring to the table is vital for the collective well-being of humanity. By neglecting and rejecting women, we rob ourselves of the gifts that would benefit us all. The consequences of this collective neglect are felt in every facet of life. In education, women often receive less encouragement than their male counterparts, especially in fields like science, technology, engineering, and math STEM, where they have been historically underrepresented. In the workplace, women continue to face disparities in pay, representation in leadership roles, and opportunities for advancement. The glass ceiling is not just a metaphor, it is a reality that still limits the potential of so many women. In families, women are often expected to carry the emotional labor of others without the recognition, support, or care they deserve. They become the caretakers, the organizers, and the emotional anchors, but too often their own emotional needs are overlooked or ignored. It is no wonder that so many women feel unloved. The world they live in constantly tells them that their worth is tied to what they can give to others, and yet the love and care they require in return is rarely provided. But it does not have to be this way. A different world is possible, a world where women are empowered to love themselves, where they are celebrated for who they are, and where the love they give is returned in kind. It is not just about changing the world for women, it is about changing the world for everyone. When women are loved, supported, and respected, they can transform not only their own lives, but the lives of those around them. The journey to ending the cycle of unloved women begins with each of us. It begins with the realization that love is a choice, a daily, intentional act that requires effort and commitment. It starts with the willingness to step outside of our own comfort zones and to invest in the emotional and spiritual well-being of others, especially those who have been neglected or marginalized. It requires a shift in the way we view relationships, not as transactions, but as opportunities to nurture, support, and empower one another. We need to create spaces where women feel seen and heard. This requires actively listening to the voices of women and validating their experiences. It means creating communities where women can come together to share their struggles, their joys, and their dreams. It means building networks of support that empower women to thrive, whether they are pursuing their careers, raising their families, or engaging in activism. These spaces must be rooted in love and respect, where the focus is not on competition or comparison, but on collaboration and solidarity. It is also critical that we teach young girls to love themselves, to understand their worth, and to recognize that they do not have to earn love through their appearance, accomplishments, or ability to please others. The message must be clear: they are enough as they are. By instilling this sense of self-worth in young girls, we can help break the cycle of self-doubt and insecurity that leads so many women to feel unloved later in life. This must be a message that is not just spoken, but demonstrated in every interaction, every classroom, and every home. In every corner of society, we must work to deconstruct the harmful narratives that perpetuate the idea that women's worth is defined by their utility to others. The impact of these narratives can be seen in everything from the way women are portrayed in media to the way they are treated in workplaces and public spaces. These narratives teach women to value themselves based on external validation, whether that be from a partner, a parent, or a boss, rather than teaching them to find value within themselves. This requires a fundamental change in the way we approach the education, upbringing, and treatment of women. It requires a shift in the way we build relationships, the way we interact with each other, and the way we view each other as equals. It demands that we see women not just as roles to be fulfilled, but as individuals with unique experiences, talents, and aspirations. Only when we fully embrace this understanding can we create a world where women no longer feel unloved, overlooked, or invisible. As we continue this journey, we must be ever mindful of the impact of our words and actions. We must ask ourselves, how am I contributing to the healing of the unloved woman? How can I show love and respect to the women in my life? Each of us has a role to play in breaking the cycle of neglect and creating a world where love is not just a possibility, but a reality for every woman. Through our collective efforts, we can create a society that nurtures, uplifts, and celebrates the women who have long been silenced. Together, we can build a future where every woman knows her worth and is loved not just by others, but by herself. In conclusion, the reality of unloved women is not just an individual tragedy, but a societal failure, a failure to recognize the immense worth, strength, and potential that every woman carries within her. It is a reflection of a world that has often overlooked, dismissed, and undervalued women, reducing their existence to roles, appearances, or what they can give to others. But let us be clear, this cycle must end. Women are not objects to be admired, fixed, or discarded. They are individuals of immense value, worthy of love, respect, and affirmation simply because they exist. The power to change this lies not in distant promises, but in our everyday actions. It begins with us, the choices we make, the language we use, the way we treat the women around us. It requires each of us to take responsibility to see women not as the unloved, but as the powerful, capable, and beautiful beings they truly are. When we love women for who they are, when we listen to them, support them, and uplift them, we break the chains of neglect and help them realize the greatness that lies within them. This is not just a message for women, it is a call for all of us to rise together to create a world where love is not conditional, where every woman feels seen, valued, and respected. It is time to stop the cycle of neglect, to build a culture of unconditional love, respect, and solidarity, where women are not just tolerated but celebrated for their contributions, their resilience, and their humanity. Let us work together to ensure that no woman ever feels unloved again, and in doing so we will transform not just their lives, but the very fabric of society. Because when women are loved, seen, and supported, the world becomes a better place for us all.